I'm Nancy, and I'm with the Wisconsin Nutrition Education Program for UW Extension, and with me is
Alex.
Alex. And Alex, what program are you working with?
Career Development Center.
And the alternative high school, right?
Yep.
So what are we going to make today?
Peanut Butter Muffins.
Peanut butter muffins. And have you made these before?
Yep.
Yep. Do you like them?
Yes.
All right, good. Well, can you tell us the ingredients we need to make the muffins?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
You have to have 3/4 cup of chunky peanut butter, 2 eggs, 1 cup of milk, 1½ cup of flour, 1/2 cup of cornmeal, 1/3 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
Okay, so would you make these at home?
Yes.
All right, good. Do you have most of the ingredients at home?
Yes.
All right, so let's start with the peanut butter, okay? Peanut butter's kind of gooey. That was a little hard to measure, wasn't it? You got that all measured ahead of time so that we were ready to go with it. And peanut butter, do you remember what food group peanut butter's in?
Protein.
Protein, very good. So it's sort of like a meat, isn't it? Or a meat alternative, and it helps us to have strong muscles. So most guys like that, right? You're in sports, right?
Yep.
All right. What sport are you in?
Going for baseball.
Baseball. Baseball. So you're working out already?
Yes.
Yeah, getting ready for that baseball. Now all we need is that snow to be gone, right?
Yes.
So that you can work out. So you've been working out. Where do you work out? You probably don't do it outside.
No.
Where are you working out?
The Y or
At
the
the-
gym.
Okay. So we're going to get the rest of that peanut butter in here because otherwise we're going to have it all over the counter. And you know what? Do you like to clean up?
No.
No, I don't like to clean up either. So I like to make as little mess as possible so I don't have to do too much cleaning up. So you're going to stir that peanut butter now. And then we're going to get those eggs ready. And we need 2 eggs. And as he stirs that, I'm going to crack that egg. And I'm going to put it in a bowl. Now, why do I put it in a separate bowl?
In case any shells go in it.
That's right. Sometimes I mess up. And if I get any shells in there, I want to make sure there aren't shells. We don't want these to be crunchy because of the eggshell. We want them to be crunchy because of the crunchy, chunky peanut butter. Okay? Eggs. What food group are eggs in?
Dairy.
Actually, you'd think so. Most people would think so, but it's actually in the protein group, just like the peanut butter. So we're getting some nice protein, and if you're in sports, you need some protein, right, to get
Yep.
those muscles strong. So we've got that in now. Then we're going to add some milk. And what do you think? What food group is milk in?
Dairy.
It's actually in dairy, yep. And it's going to be a little bit hard to mix, isn't it? It's a little sloshy.
Yeah.
And we're going to get that egg kind of beaten up in there, get the yolk and get it beaten up. Then we're going to add a little sugar. And the sugar just adds flavor. Now, one thing good about homemade muffins is they aren't so cake-like. They tend to have less sugar in them and are more nutritious because of that. So if you want, if you're making your own, you can reduce the sugar a little bit. This recipe is already reduced sugar. And it's going to be really kind of liquidy, really liquidy at this point. We really haven't added anything to thicken it up. So what would we add to thicken that up a little bit?
Cornmeal.
Cornmeal. Now, cornmeal is a whole grain, and we know for health that it's good for us to eat at least half of the grain foods that we eat as whole grain, and this recipe is totally a whole grain. The cornmeal is a whole grain, and then we have some whole wheat flour that we are going to put in this as well. Now, because this is a quick bread, we don't want to stir it very much once we add that flour. So we're going to put in the salt first, and we need 1/2 teaspoon. And one of the things that I find is that when I'm measuring salt, I often overpour. So I'm going to use something underneath me so I don't have it all over my counter. And we're going to put 1/2 teaspoon in. And we're going to level that off a little bit. Make sure I didn't get too much. because we need it for flavor, but we can also have problems with high blood pressure if we get too much salt. Even young people can. So we don't want that to happen to Alex. And then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now, if I don't have baking powder, can I just use baking soda?
No.
No. They are different. So you do want to make sure that you're using whatever it calls for. If it's baking soda, use baking soda. If it's baking powder, use baking powder. So I need 2 teaspoons. So I'm going to put that in, and Alex is going to mix that up before I ever add the flour, because once that flour goes in, we do not want to mix these too much or they'll get peaked. So if you have a muffin and it gets a nice peak on it, like a mountain, that means you overstirred it. And they can be more tough that way. So we don't want our muffins to be tough. So once we add this flour, we are going to just stir it until it's just barely stirred in. And we are then going to make muffins. Now, we have put liners in here. You could just take some liquid. Yep, you could take some margarine, or you could take some spray, and you could spray them. But it's a lot easier. We don't like doing dishes, do we, Alex? It's like we're going to try to make this very simple and not have too much mess. So he's going to finish mixing that up, and then we are going to put the batter into the muffin tins. Now, if you want, some people like quick bread rather than quick muffins, and then you could put it into a bread pan, and you would want to then grease it, and it will have to cook a lot longer. Now, for this recipe, we are heating the oven, and we've got it preheated to 375 degrees. And I do want to preheat it, because if I don't, the muffins aren't going to rise properly. So we're going to quit mixing now, and we're going to just fill them about how full do we fill them, Alex?
Half a tin?
Half to 2/3 full. Okay, so we're going to fill those up. And I'm just using 2 spoons so I don't, I can control it a little more and try not to get it all over the muffin pan. Now, if I get it on the pan and not inside the little cup, what should I do, Alex?
Wipe it off.
Wipe it off before I put it in the oven. Why?
So it doesn't burn.
Otherwise, it's going to burn
cook
on, and we don't like doing all that, right? That's really hard for cleaning. Okay, so we're going to fill these up, and if we have too much batter, sometimes it's hard getting just exactly the right amount. You could put some in a custard cup that you greased like this. Or should you ever eat raw muffin?
No.
Why not? You're right. Why shouldn't I eat it? Because it's got raw what in it?
Eggs.
Eggs, and I could get salmonella from that, and that would be bad news. I could be very sick. So really, even raw cookie dough, we shouldn't eat, should we? Even though lots of people like to eat it because of that raw eggs in there. Unless you buy pasteurized eggs, which are a lot more expensive. And in that case, if you're using pasteurized eggs, you could eat the raw cookie dough. It's mainly just the raw egg that we have to be careful of. So Alex is trying to get that spoon out of the way for me, and we'll have these ready to go. Then, how long do they have to be in the oven? Do you remember?
20 to 25?
20 to 25 minutes, and that would be typical for most muffins. If I do and I put this into a bread, then it's like an hour. So the reason I like making muffins is twofold. One is it bakes a lot more quickly, and if we took a rubber scraper, I bet we could get the rest of this. And the other is that lots of times people are very busy. Are you a busy person, Alex?
Yes.
Yeah, and you can grab a muffin, But if you have a quick bread, sometimes it's hard to just grab it because then you got to cut it up and all that. Where you could take a muffin, put it in a plastic bag. How about if you scrape this off a little bit? Can you do that? And then we'll get that out of your way completely. All right, good job. And we are going to put these in the oven. How would you eat these? Would you eat them for breakfast?
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack.
Okay, so if you had it for lunch, what might you eat with it? You need more than just muffins, right?
Meat and
yeah, you could have a meat and you could have some vegetables, right? Or a casserole of some kind. And then have your muffin as, what food group would your muffin be considered then?
protein.
It's actually a grain, even though it has the peanut butter on. The main ingredient is flour, right? So it would be a grain. So we have our muffins all ready to go. And what are we going to do with them now, Alex?
Put them in the oven.
Put them in the oven. For how long?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Then we'll check them to see if they're done. And how will we know if they're done?
If they've raised.
They've raised.
And golden brown.
And golden brown. And I could use a toothpick test, right? If I put the toothpick in after 20 minutes, what should happen? What should that toothpick look like?
The same.
It should be the same. It shouldn't have any dough or batter stuck on it, right? And then I know they're done. So we're going to meet you at the table.
Welcome to Cook It Safe Challenge, where teams compete to make the right decision about safe food preparation. Our challenge in this round, oven or microwave. To win, teams must use the proper steps for safe meal preparation, read and follow package cooking instructions, and know when to use the conventional oven or the microwave. You're on the clock, so make your decisions quickly, but be warned, make the wrong choice and your meal will be unsafe. Sorry, Team 2, an unwise choice. Check the cooking instructions on that package you ripped open so quickly.
Dude, what?
Microwaves and conventional ovens both have a purpose. Your challenge was to cook the dish safely. This means knowing which method of cooking to use, and you failed.
We failed to read and follow the package cooking instructions and use a conventional oven.
If you don't follow cooking instructions, some foods may be hot but may not have reached a safe internal temperature. Use a food thermometer to be sure.
We kept focus on reading and following the package cooking instructions.
And we used the conventional oven and the food thermometer.
Can you cook it safe?
Well, Alex, what do you think? Those muffins, they look really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you think you'd eat a couple of them when you had your snack? And you're going to have some dark grapes to go with them? I love those. They're nice and sweet, aren't they?
Yes.
And then what do you think of that broccoli? Maybe not today with the braces?
No.
Well, I'll get to eat the broccoli because I love that. And a glass of milk so that you have at least 3 food groups. You've got your dairy milk, you've got your grain, peanut butter, and you have a little protein in that peanut butter too. Peanut butter muffin. And then you have those grapes for fruit. So you can dig in and you'll be ready to go work out and do your sports, right? All right.
This program was recorded and presented by Chippewa Valley Community Television. Chippewa Valley Community Television is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, you can contact us by calling 715-839-5067 or on the web at www.cvctv.org.